Dripping Springs man was shot and killed by Hays County Sheriff's deputies overnight. An elderly woman also taken to the hospital with injuries. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Avery Travis. Mike Rush has the night off. We're following this story. The Hays County Sheriff's Office says 28-year-old John File had gotten into a dispute with a tow truck driver in the Belterra neighborhood. Deputies went to a home on Victoria Court later on to follow up, where they say File rushed them with a knife. One of the deputies fired several rounds, they say, hitting File. A 78-year-old woman at that home was also shot in the arm. Both of them were taken to local hospitals, and File later died. KXAN's Mercedes Hernandez went back out to the neighborhood to find out what led up to the deadly shooting and what neighbors saw after it happened.
This street is usually calm, but Friday night an officer-involved shooting shook its peace.
It was DPS, it was Hays County Sheriff's, Fire Department, a couple of ambulances, and they were all parked right here at the corner.
Mike Sheldon says he walked out of his home and met up with other neighbors, also worried about the scene.
And my neighbor over here came out. He said he had heard gunshots. He said he had heard, and it sounded like 3 or 4 quick boom, boom, boom. And he thought that the police had shot someone.
Now, we walked up and down this street trying to speak with neighbors to find out if they saw or heard anything on Friday night. Most tell us they didn't see anything until they woke up the next morning and saw crime scene tape up on their block.
Apparently he had gotten in an altercation with a tow truck driver.
The Hays County Sheriff's Office confirms this started with a dispute between John File and a tow truck driver. The towing company says its driver went out around 11 p.m. to tow a vehicle on Trinity Hills Drive, where File confronted him. The driver got back in their truck and called police. It was during the follow-up on that dispute when deputies say File came at them with a knife and they fired several shots. Sheldon says just last week, the street was filled with kids in costumes.
Pretty quiet. There was a bunch of kids there for Halloween.
So neighbors aren't used to something like this.
Nothing like this last night.
In Dripping Springs, Mercedes Hernandez, KXAN News.
Mercedes, thank you. The Hays County Sheriff's Office says this investigation is still ongoing. The Texas Rangers have been called in to assist. Going in depth for you, the Texas Attorney General's office has an officer-involved shooting database with reports all over the state. That database shows 5 officer-involved shootings since 2017 in Hays County. This is not including this most recent incident. Under Texas law enforcement agencies are required to submit these reports to the AG's office no later than 30 days after an officer-involved injury or death.